Let's look at the second major leadership challenge and how we go about it. The second I'd like to take a look at is resistance of the team to positive change. Resistance of the team to positive change. Sometimes the challenges leaders face is when their team are not responding to change, even when it is positive. One of the reasons is because the team may not be seeing what the leader is seeing. The leader may be seeing farther than the team. So the team may actually not know that this change is actually a positive change. So usually the team will fight change when they are not sure that it's positive. They may not be responding rapidly. Now, fighting doesn't necessarily mean they will directly oppose. There are times that there are direct oppositions. But sometimes it's not a direct opposition, but then their response is slow. And you realize that in the first session, we spoke about the importance of people when we're looking at resources and tools for effective leadership. We said people are important and you cannot do it alone. So that if the leader sees something and is trying to carry the people along and they are slowing the process, it will affect the leadership, it will affect the leader himself, it will affect the mission and the vision of that group. So the leader needs the cooperation of the team. And that is why last week we looked at the leader-team relationship. The leader can't do it alone. The leader needs a team. But if the team is trying to drag things, it will affect the flow of leadership. So sometimes we face resistance from the team we are working with. And one other reason too is that the positive changes that sometimes the leader is actually employing or implementing don't seem appealing. Not everything that causes progress is appealing. Not everything that brings improvement is nice. Let me give a few examples. Now, let me use a church setting for an example. It's been found out that it takes a lot for a single-celled church to go beyond the 200 barrier. A single-celled church is a church where only the pastor handles pastoral care and counseling. Now, it will take a multiple cell church to go beyond the 200 barrier, according to a research. Now, the reason why in such a situation, even the pastor himself will fight growth is because when the church moves from a single cell church to a multiple cell church, the pastor will lose power. Because as a single cell church, everybody comes to the pastor for counseling. Everybody comes to see the pastor for prayer. When a church moves from a single cell church to a multiple cell church, that is when cells are created, fellowship groups are created. So now you realize that multiple people are handling pastoral care. So everybody doesn't come to the pastor. They go to their cell leaders or their team leaders or their family unit leaders or whatever is called in that group, or their fellowship group leaders. So the challenge they would have brought to the pastor for the pastor to pray for them, they will now take it to their fellowship group leaders for their fellowship group leaders to handle and solve those challenges. So in as much as this is positive change to cause the church to go beyond a certain barrier, the pastor will lose power. So it will be difficult even in such a case for the pastor himself to accept change. That's an example. Then also, when there is mobilization of laity in a church, where lay people are beginning to do the work of ministry, you know, in some places there is what we call clerical dominance, where only those who are in collar, those who are ordained work. But in a place where there is mobilized laity, you realize that everybody has a role to play in the group of the church. So those in clerical, those who are ordained, will feel some dis-ease in themselves because others are being able to do what they've been ordained to do. So in such a case, what will happen is that the team members who are like the ordained pastors under the head pastor may fight that transition. And then another example, the institution of a board or a council to contribute to decision making, whether it has to do with the church or an organization. Let's say if it has to do with the church, the pastor is in charge of taking decisions on his own, maybe with his wife. But then when there is an institution of a board or a council, it will mean that the pastor has lost some power. So usually positive change is not appealing. That is why many times there is resistance of the team to positive change. Some of the examples I gave had to do with the pastor himself being uncomfortable. But there are times that certain changes favor the pastor and are appealing to the pastor or the CEO, but they are actually not appealing to the team members. Yet those changes are necessary for the institution or the church or the organization to grow from one level to another. What do you do in such a situation where the changes you are trying to implement are not appealing? And for that matter, your team people, your team members are resisting that positive change. It's simple. Constantly remind the team that change is constant. That's the first thing. Let them know that change is constant. And every change is meant for the progress of the team and organization to fulfill its vision. So remind them that change is constant and that every change that you are implementing is meant for the progress of the team and organization to fulfill its vision. So what you do is you show them the current state of the group or the ministry or the organization, where you are. Show them where you are going to. And let them know that if this change is not effected, it's going to delay the fulfillment of the vision. So that at the end of the day, that change that is being brought is actually positive and it's going to help the vision to be fulfilled and to be realized. So eventually it will still favor everyone, even though it may not be appealing now. So that's what you do if the issue has to do with resistance of the team to positive change. Constantly remind the team that change is constant and every change is meant for the progress of the team and organization to fulfill its vision.